Today, we have a retelling of Manga in the horror genre from Kakizaki Masasumi. Mangaka loves horror movies, and as he admits at the end of The Shelter, he was strongly influenced by the work of Stephen King. I haven't read his other works yet, but there is a pandemic hanging in the wishlist. If you want more of this author's works, you can make a sequel and read his medical work together. As for the influence of Stephen King, it is really felt in his work. Small novels, allow it or shine, but rather small stories. The history of The Shelter is short, just one volume. The number of active characters here is also minimal. However, even with such a small theater, mangaka manages to present a good story about a desperate man who wants a completely ordinary, normal, happy family life. But before we start, I'm going to ask you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This will greatly help me in promoting my creativity, as well as additionally launch my motivation. And I turn to the retelling. At the very beginning of the manga, we are shown the head of a man tied to a chair with colored pages. He's alone in the room. He begs aloud not to kill him. Outside the room, wide-open eyes stare at him from a hole in the wall. In the lines between the frames here and throughout the rest of the chapters, lines from the books of the main character will be served. Our main character is Kirishima Seiichi. He's a writer who went on vacation with his wife at the resort, as he declares he wants to start life with a clean slate. Seiichi approaches his wife, whose name is Miki, on the beach and says that the locals told him about the waterfall and that the couple who will come to him will be happy. Miki is skeptical about this fairy tale, although it is clear from her facial expression that this attitude is not only to history. In conversations with her husband, she is distant, very often even harsh. However, she still goes with him to look for the waterfall. On the following pages, we see that they were caught in a heavy downpour. Moreover, it seems that they are lost. Miki starts pouring on the site, saying what a useless loser he is. In response, the husband says that he has heard something else about this place. They say that fierce bloody wars used to take place on this island, because of which the remnants of people are found even now. His wife begins to suspect that he brought her here not to restore relations, but because he is looking for inspiration for a new book. Despite the fact that he has been trying for the good of the family all this time, Miki says that Seiichi definitely wouldn't want to hear. She accuses him of the fact that their son died because of him. The car stops. Seiichi says that he has run out of gas, although in fact this is not the case. But Miki doesn't know about it. They go on foot to look for help, and it is worth moving away, as the true intentions of the main character are revealed. He's here to kill his wife. Seiichi hits her on the head with a wrench and starts screaming that Miki is to blame for the death of their son June. He also says that he has been dreaming about it for a long time. From the expression on Miki's face, we can see that she is not even surprised by this outcome. Miki tries to escape, Seiichi goes after her. The search leads him to a cave. The text between the frames shows how big a mistake it was that Kirishima decided to go after her. Meanwhile, it is in the cave that he finds his wife. It finally dawns on Miki that everything for her can really end right here and now. Miki offers to talk, but Seiichi doesn't even want to listen anymore. He hits her on the head one last time. Suddenly, he feels eyes on him. Behind him is an ugly child who repeats the word mom, and I want to mom. The boy disappears, and Seiichi convinces himself that it was a hallucination. With a sense of accomplishment, the main character goes to the exit of the cave. At this point, the plot switches to the hero's past for several pages. There we are shown how happy he was when Miki gave birth to a healthy boy. We're going back to the present. Seiichi seems to have managed to get lost in the cave. Despite the fact that it did not seem to him that he had gone so deep, there is no way out anywhere. Seiichi stumbles and just gets to his feet as he gets hit on the head by a creepy old man. Meanwhile, an ugly child drags the bound Miki away. The blow is non-lethal. The main character manages to get up. He tries to run headlong, but gets into a dead end. Looking down, Seiichi finds the hatch. The grandfather walks slowly towards the victim, who is hammered into a corner. Seiichi decides to go lower. Stumbling down the stairs, he falls into the darkness. And now, the author again shows us fragments from the life of a would-be writer. In this flashback, we see how Seiichi finds out that the publications of his work have been wrapped up. The book is not bad, but it does not suit the target audience of the publisher. After hanging up the phone, he goes to meet Mika and Dune, who have just returned home, who have returned from the store, where Miku bought herself all sorts of branded junk. Despite this, the hero does not dare to say that his book will not be published. And we're going back to the present. Seiichi wakes up under the stairs. Looking around, he sees a long corridor with many doors. Inside, he sees the remains of people of varying degrees of decomposition. There he finds a living girl in torn clothes. "What a pity," she says. "8 people died, you're the 9th. And then he asks how the boy is doing. Our writer is trying to interrogate the prisoner to find out how to get out of here. While he is shouting, grandfather appears from behind. He cuts down the nets, and when he wakes up after a while, he sees the creature dragging him somewhere on the ground. Along the way, he meets a boarded-up cell with a prisoner who has no limbs. The prisoner begs to kill him and end his suffering. Seiichi starts remembering the past again. There he is in the editorial department with the presentation of his manuscript. This is the 4th publishing house that he visited today. The editor tells the main character that no one will take a job of this quality. In the family, he says that he got a job. Seiichi is sitting on a chair, bound hand and foot. How much time has passed, he does not know. All he knew was that the oppressive darkness was driving him crazy. As soon as he was visited by those monstrous eyes, Seth began to scream that he did not want to die. And then we find ourselves in a flashback again. Kirishima came to the publishing house in despair to ask for a job. There, asking for it, he kneels. In the present, after a while, Seiichi opens her eyes. He's still in this darkness, naked and bound. The door opens, Miki walks in quite calmly. Grandfather treated her wound, and even allowed her to go inside with a wrench. The monster has a different attitude towards women. Seiichi asks for help, but Miki instead continues to accuse him, and starts beating him with a key. But she's not going to kill him. She wants to escape, and for this she is ready for anything, even to entertain with this creature. After beating up her ex-husband, Miki leaves his cell. While Seiichi is unconscious, we are back in his relatively carefree past life. He got a job, sits at his desk and works. Headphones in my ears. Behind him is Miki, who is talking on the phone. Her friends call her for shopping, which, of course, she cannot refuse. She leaves little June and tells Seiichi that she is leaving and asks to look after the baby. And later also take off her underwear when it dries. Miki leaves. Seiichi, who had been wearing headphones all this time, did not even hear the request. June, in his desire to help his mother, decides to remove his underwear from the balcony on his own. Then the boy falls down the stairs. Seiichi finds out about it when she finishes working. He looks for the boy and finds him. He only has to glance from the balcony. Now the Seiichi are still tied up on the chair. He reflects that all he wanted was a small piece of family happiness. To live happily with his little family, is he really asking for so much? The door to his cell opens, an ugly child comes inside. Seiichi guesses that the boy is the son of the girl in the cell who called him the 9th. The writer promises that if the boy aunties him, he will take the child to his mother. The boy aunties Seiichi and says that he is not allowed to go to the woman, his mother, because she has already run away, and obviously knows how to get out of here. Instead of just running away, the writer is determined to kill his grandfather. He asks the boy to take him straight to him. And we find ourselves back in the past. The funeral of baby June is taking place. Those who came to the event gossip that Seiichi is to blame for everything, because during the incident he was in the apartment. After that on the street, he suffers a blow from Miki's father, who also screams that the writer is to blame for the death of his grandson. Everyone around is sure that Kirishima Seiichi is to blame for the death of her son. Miki's camera. Grandfather climbed on the ex-wife of the main character, you know for what purpose. It doesn't work out to start, because Seiichi appears behind his back and pierces the creature through with a machete. He's not going to help Miki, he wants to send her to the same place as her grandfather. Except Grandpa isn't dead. Jumping up, he grabs Seiichi's arm with a death grip. A fight begins. Taking advantage of the opportunity, Miki runs away. The writer, having inflicted another serious injury to his grandfather, obviously thinking that this time he had nailed him, goes in pursuit of his ex-wife. Along with him comes an ugly child, and in him Seiichi begins to see his son June again the past. Despite the recent funeral, the publisher dismisses the writer. Hoping to regain at least some happiness again, Kirishima Seiichi offers Miku to have another child. Miku refuses. You're the only one here who still hasn't recovered from the past, she says. And I really never wanted children. Why don't you start working? And work hard for me, dear. In the cave, Miki is still trying to escape. Seiichi and the child go in pursuit of her. Ted joins this chase, taking a rusty rifle. Miki runs into the light, there's nothing to go out, but she won't be able to get out. I can't show a graphic and violent frame enough, but the bayonet knife from my grandfather's rifle pierced her skull, and came out the other side. Seiichi also goes to the hatch leading down somewhere. Come on, he says to the ugly child. I'll take you to your mom. But before going down, he is waiting for the last fight with the ugly grandfather. Come down, don't worry, June, Seiichi says to the ugly child. Daddy will soon finish here and catch up with you. Seiichi is looking forward to how to finish off his grandfather. In the following frames, we see the main character, who came to the house of his wife's parents Miku. He asks them to influence her, because now he wants a divorce, and Miki doesn't want to hear about it. Still blaming the insignificant son-in-law, the parents say that it would even be nice if a divorce happened, because in that case, they would be able to shake money from him monthly. Meanwhile, there is a fierce battle between the ugly grandfather and Seiichi. While the battle in the cave continues, pages from the past begin again. The writer is back at Mickey's parents' house. He informs them that instead of a divorce, he decided to take her on a trip. After telling about this, he took out a large kitchen knife from his bag. Now accused earlier of murdering his son, Kirishima Seiichi has become really guilty of murdering his wife's parents. With thoughts that Seiichi just wanted a new family, he finally finishes off his grandfather. Covered in blood, clutching a knife, Seiichi goes downstairs, thinking that all he wanted was a family. He enters the cell, where an ugly child is waiting for him. And a woman bound with chains, he strokes the child's head and says, "Everything is fine. Now there is nothing to be afraid of. Your daddy got rid of a terrible monster." Seiichi approaches the girl and says that he is going to release her. Substitutes mache for the chains, and to the question, "Did you really kill him?" answers, "Yes, I will do anything for the sake of my wife and son." The girl says she can't believe that they will finally be able to escape. Seiichi is discouraged by this question. Why do you want to escape from here? Along with this question, he realizes that everything he has been looking for all this time has been and is in this cave. "I'm here, you're here. Our beloved son is also here. What else do you need?" The girl says that Seiichi is crazy. He, not understanding why she turned away from him, kills her. This whole story happened in 1989 year. The sequel throws us back as much as 2010. As at the very beginning of the story, another family is lost in the same place. They find Seiichi's old car and a diary. The frames with the text continue to speak on behalf of Kirishima, how lonely he is. The newcomers apparently decided not to read the abandoned novel, so on the last pages we see them entering the cave. The penultimate page shows us Seiichi's disfigured face, as well as the abandoned diary book, "I am Kirishima Seiichi. Please become my family." The last words in this manga. The end. At the end, the author addresses the readers. He thanks them for purchasing this manga, as well as the publishing house for allowing him to create a whole volume of history in the unpopular horror genre in Japan. There he also talks about how hard it was for him to succeed in this story, because in order to reflect the womb of an all-consuming cave as best as possible on paper, he went to real caves, and well, he really managed to draw it well. In fact, the drawing in this manga is wonderful. The characters are drawn in detail. The entourage works perfectly for the atmosphere. Considering that this is a short story that is comparable to a story in a book equivalent, the plot turned out to be worthy. Kirishima Seiichi is well revealed as the main character, although he is the only one who is revealed here. But the author could strengthen the emotions of readers if he showed the life of the family not immediately from the bad. And first, he depicted a picture of idol, for example, adding more scenes of their happy life together, and thereby enhancing the contrast between what was and what has become. The only scene that falls under this description is the moment when Mickey gave birth to Dune. However, this number of frames is not enough. By creating pleasant memories of the writer, the author would be able to convey more strongly to the audience why Seiichi was so desperately holding on to marriage. All the other appearances of Mickey after childbirth are the image of a selfish woman who only cares about herself. Because of this, the reader does not fully understand why the main character holds on to his wife so much, when the only thing he wants to say to her is, "Shut up! Get out of my face, you bitch!" It only comes to him that it's time to stay when she says she never wanted children and refuses him the next one. As for everything else, the author decided not to go into details here. Who is the grandfather? Why is he there? How long has he been there? What is the girl's name? And how long has she been in captivity? What did Seiichi do next in this cave? And what happened to the ugly version of June? If Seiichi insists so desperately that he needs someone nearby and he is tired of being alone, then something has clearly happened to the child. As for his psychological transformation, it did not come as a surprise to me here either. The transformation began a long time ago, from the moment the writer killed Mickey's parents. If its roots lie in despair that he was trapped in a family that hated him, then it began to sprout in the hope of a new family. When he got rid of Mickey, this desire began to mutate in him the moment he decided to kill his grandfather. Instead of just running away, Seiichi begins to see something like that very idol he sees in the cave, the house in the ugly grandfather. As the head of the family, in the captive and accommodating wife, and in the ugly child, the son, in whom he began to see June. If the child is his, then it means a cave, and a prisoner too. These changes are only noticeable to him when the prisoner talks about escape. The picture takes shape in his head, and then the madness is finally fixed. Thus, he becomes the head of the whole cave. Unfortunately, there is nothing much more to tell about this story. It is over. Kirishima Seiichi will never come out. And how do you like this manga? Share your impressions in the comments. And that's it for today. Thanks to everyone and bye to everyone.